Saving America one entrepreneur at a time, it's the Biz Rap Podcast with your host, Michael Manahan. The show that celebrates small business and entrepreneurs, it's Biz Rap Radio with your host, small businessman, educator, and author, Michael Manahan. And welcome to another edition of Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan, and thank you so much for joining me today. Biz Rap Radio is the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you as small business people to run your business more effectively, to hopefully make more money with your business, expand your business and grow your business, and do what we really need entrepreneurs to do is to build businesses, to create employment so we can get people off of social assistance and get them out there working and making money. That's what business is all about. And of course, we know that most new jobs are created by small businesses. Most people in the United States work for small businesses, and we're here to help you as small business people run your small business more effectively. Today, though, I am very lucky to have on the phone with me, all the way from New York City, I've got Cindy Ashton. Cindy is a speaker, a skills trainer, an entertainer. She's got years and years of experience. She has received awards from both President Obama and the Queen of England. A very, very interesting person. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Well, hello, Mike, and hello to everybody listening. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you could join us today. Now, Cindy, I've got a whole raft of information here on you, but why don't you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Who I am and what I am? Well, I'm a big personality with a big, giant heart, and even though I'm very charismatic, I'm actually an introvert in a lot of ways, in that I love to have, time on my own and read and meditate time. Now, in terms of my business, I am North America's unconventional speaker trainer, and I can tell you why. You're not a robot. So, Mike, are you a robot as far as you know?
I hope not.
Good, I hope not. So I don't know why anyone would ever be trained to be a robot. And it's the weirdest thing to me, because the traditional model of speaking training is stand here, pose here, look like a robot, and point this way and do a slimy script. And it's very strange to me. And in 2012, Forbes magazine released a whole article of why people should not be getting speaking training, because it makes you feel less authentic than ever. And so I really am unconventional in that I am anti-scripts, anti-posing, anti-gesturing. You are not a robot. And so I really love helping people with presentation skills in a way that helps them to unleash their best self, including all their wonderful quirks and what makes them human.
But let me ask you a question about that, because I teach college, I teach university, finance, accounting, and I also have taught business communications. And my students, they want a recipe. They want something to follow. They don't want to be free thinkers in many cases. They want to know, it's like baking a cake. They want to know, if I put in so much sugar and so much flour and so much flavoring, put it in the oven for 45 minutes, I've got a cake. Is it too much to expect people not to be robots?
So I am not saying that you don't have structure. I think the minute that you don't have structure and you don't have a flow is the minute you lose your audience, or if you're a business person, you lose the person that you're talking with. So I'm not saying not to have structure, but what I am saying is that we need to stop doing these ridiculous scripts and memorizing them and trying to pull them off. Most people are not good at reading a script and pulling it off and looking natural. So you absolutely have to know exactly what you're going to say and have the right order of what you're going to say, but it needs to come out of you naturally. And so, yes, of course they want a formula, but what I'm saying is that it's about being natural within that formula. It's not about having every little move and gesture and step completely choreographed.
I got you. So, and of course, this is important for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Particularly, I'm thinking for entrepreneurs because one of the things I work with entrepreneurs a lot is entrepreneurs who are trying to raise capital, and of course, they've got to go in front of investment bankers, venture capital funds, angel investors, all manner of funding sources, and they've got to give what I call the pitch. Okay, you got to tell your story in a way that's interesting and compelling, and I would say 80% of them do a really, really bad job of that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, I look at some of the speaking training programs out there, and they're too busy telling people not to do so. Well, instead of worrying about that, get them clear on their messaging. If you're clear on what your pitch is, so for example, these entrepreneurs pitching investors, if they are clear on what their core deep message is, and they are clear on the flow of their pitch, and they have rehearsed it, and I don't mean word for word, but really gotten it in their bodies, they will do a magnificent job. But the problem is that a lot of entrepreneurs simply don't know how to speak about their businesses in a way that is relatable in real world sense. They talk over your head. Like this one person was trying to pitch me. He says, well, we want you on our team to create innovative processes. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? They're like, you're not listening, Cindy. I said to create innovative processes. And I said, I don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean? And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs are so in their heads and really not bringing it down to real world. So the example I love to give is a client I worked with was going into networking, and this is, or if the same client could have gone into a pitch, and she would be saying, well, I help, entrepreneurs to declutter. But what does that really mean? That doesn't speak to a real problem. And when we worked on her messaging and went deeper with it, she now says, I really work with entrepreneurs who have messy desks to really organize their leads so they can follow up and make more money. So do you see how that's real world. If she was talking to you or pitching an investor and says, here's the deal. Entrepreneurs are very creative people. They're full of life. They've got big passion. They're going out, they're networking, they're getting leads and nothing. You know why? Because most entrepreneurs have messy desks, and the ones that don't even know what to do with their leads, and they don't know how to, organize them in a way where they can actually follow up and make more money. And I can tell you that our system that we're putting out there, I can tell you that 90% of the people that implemented our system within the first 30 days doubled their sales.
Right. Well, this is
you see how much more powerful that is than saying, I help entrepreneurs to declutter. Buy my system.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I call fuzzy language, by the way. And our language seems to me it's increasing that people use what I call fuzzy language. I actually got a call from somebody this morning, and he was talking about somebody we do business with, and he said, well, Mike, so-and-so is very frustrated. And I said, what does that mean? What does it mean he's frustrated? What does he want to have happen that isn't happening? I don't know how to fix frustrated. But if he wants somebody to do something and that person's not doing it, tell me. That I can fix. I can't fix frustrated. There's no actionable items that I can take based on the word frustrated. And it seems to be that we kind of put a lot of those words into our language, and they're confusing. And because they're confusing, they really aren't meaningful. So I understand completely what you're saying.
Brilliant. Exactly. That's beautifully said. Beautiful example. Thank you.
Well, not a problem. Look, we are closing up. We got about 30 seconds here before we have to go to break. So very quickly, can you tell the listeners how can they get a hold of you very quickly before we go to break?
All right. So my main website is yourpersuasivevoice.com.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yourpersuasivevoice.com. Check it out. It's Cindy Ashton, and this is Mike Manahan with Biz Rap Radio, the show all about small businesses and entrepreneurs, and we will be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Of course, Biz Rap Radio, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you make more money and run your businesses more effectively and maybe raise some capital if you're an entrepreneur looking to raise some money. But right now, I've got Cindy Ashton on the phone. Cindy is a speaker. She is a trainer, an entertainer, and she was talking to us about how we can use more effective speaking to get our message across even better. Cindy, thanks for sticking with us.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Cindy, how can an entrepreneur or a small business person really use what you teach in their businesses?
So it's really interesting because a lot of people have no idea how their body language and their speaking voice come across. A lot of people say, oh, you just work with speakers. And I'm like, no, most of my clientele are entrepreneurs and corporate people. And so what a lot of people don't realize is that their body language and their speaking voice, if they're not, they could actually turn off business. So for example, I had a client out in Vancouver, where you're originally from, actually, and she called me and she said, somebody said I should talk to you because it might be my presentation style. I don't know what I'm doing wrong in my business. I'm not making any money. And I looked at her website. It looked great. Her messaging was great. Branding was great. I looked at her, consultation intake forms. They looked great. I asked her what she was doing in the sales consultations. The order of what she was asking sounded right. And she was only converting 4% on the phone. But I knew from the minute she got on the phone what the problem was. Now, I'm such a trained singer and speaker that I don't know how to duplicate what she does, but her voice is so far back in her throat and on her vocal cords that it was causing her voice to shake. And when her voice was shaking, it made her sound insecure. So she just was not reading confidently. And so we worked on her speaking voice, and she went from converting 4% up to 40%.
Wow, 4% to 40% just by changing the way she was speaking to her potential customers.
Right. It's very hard, it's a very delicate subject to think about the fact that you might be coming across in a way that's actually repelling people or pushing them away. Like, for example, people who tend to be chest breathers, which is 50% of the people listening. If you're a chest breather and you slump, listen to what happens to my voice. It gets very little. Now, do you, Mike, listening to me right now, trust me to be very confident and trustworthy? Would you put your money with me?
Well, I did notice the change. There's no question about it.
Right. Now, on the other hand, if I got chest tension and my shoulders are back and I'm pushing my chest out, the voice becomes very aggressive and this pushes people away. And so this, again, is why I don't like posing and gesturing, because that's very surfacey, fake stuff. What the stress levels, and listen, we all have good days and we all have bad days, and we've all had our history, and that shows up in our body. And I'm not doing some kind of woo-woo thing. I have a degree in kinesiology. My specialization was relaxation therapy. I can tell you that the stress you carry in your body, and we all have it, directly influence your body posture and how your speaking voice comes across and how your body language comes across. Now, no one's going to look at you and think, oh, they're a chest breather and they're sticking their chest out, and that's why they're aggressive. Nobody's going to know that, but subconsciously, this comes across very aggressive, and it could really push somebody away. And so people don't realize that the stress that they have in their body is really determines how they come across on a very deep level and a very subconscious level to other people. And so for me, as a speaker trainer of 15 plus years, it's really amazing to see how just releasing people's stress and getting them back in alignment and teaching them how to use their breath and their voice effectively suddenly gets their teams listening to them, gets their wife listening to them, gets them better sex, which is a whole other conversation. But
hang on. I want to have that conversation.
Everybody wants to have this conversation.
Yeah, indeed. Now, it's interesting you talk about that, because I just went to an all-day seminar here in Long Beach, California. It was a financial seminar. It was targeted towards people who work in the development industry, and particularly if you're partnering with cities and municipalities to develop real estate projects. And there was a series of speakers throughout the day, and they went from mediocre to terrible. there was only one speaker the entire day that was even enjoyable to listen to, and that was the mayor of Long Beach. Gave I guess you would call it the keynote speech during the lunch break, and he only spoke for about 20 minutes, but you could tell, obviously, whether it was experience or training, he just did such a better job. And if you're not doing a good job of speaking, your message isn't going to come across. It's just that simple. People will tune you out. They'll take what you say the wrong way. So you're really talking important stuff here. But one of my frustrations, I don't remember, back when I went to college, even when I took my MBA, I don't remember anybody saying, hey, this is an important part of being a businessman or being a business executive. Everything was about, marketing and accounting and strategic planning. And nobody really said, hey, you got to be a pretty good talker. You've got to be able to communicate with people.
Right. I have a client in New York who's a CFO. He has 3,000 employees below him. And he came to me and he's like, I don't know why my team doesn't engage with me. They don't listen to me. They don't follow direction. And I said very politely, in my mind, I'm thinking it's because you're Mr. Frazzle. But I mean, his presentation style, I mean, he was his center of gravity in his body was so high up in his body that his shoulders are to his ears, and he was talking really fast, and he was like this kind of energy and flailing his arms, and I was like, oh, good God, please. So, I mean, really, just by getting him to lower his center of gravity, breathe from the pelvic floor, really calm himself down and speak more articulately, he now finds that not his coworkers, but employees will actually sit with him at lunch and talk to him and have lunch with him, let alone, the social stuff. I mean, they're actually following direction. They stay in meetings longer. I mean, and it's just because this guy who's highly educated was never taught how to actually interact with people and speak effectively.
That's just amazing. So we're talking with Cindy Ashton here on BizRap Radio. Her website, yourpersuasivevoice.com. Cindy is a speaker. She's a trainer. She's a singer, entertainer, an amazing person. You can hear her energy. It just comes. It just comes through the airwaves like a tidal wave or a shock wave here.
Thank you.
But so Cindy, okay, somebody is out there listening. Maybe they visited your website, or maybe they're going to visit your website. But can you give them maybe just a few tips? What could somebody do who maybe isn't ready to engage somebody to help them, but they want to know what they can do to communicate more effectively? Can you give them a couple of tips?
Absolutely. I mean, on my website, I actually have free videos, but why don't I give you tips right now? So the first tip I want to give you is your body posture. A lot of people, because of trauma we've been through, or some people are overweight, or some people, are very chesty. For women, they've got big boobs and it affects their posture. Whatever it is, most of us are not totally in alignment with our posture, and it affects our voice. So what I want you to do is stand shoulder width apart and really flatten your feet into the ground and really bend your knees and bounce a few times to feel your center of gravity drop. So feel like you're dropping into the ground. Really feel your feet push into the ground. And if you have bad knees, please don't bounce. So only bounce if you've got good knees. Then once you are feeling like you're in your body, I want you to raise your arms up to the top of your head. So you're raising your arms right up, so your arms are reaching for the sky. And just notice that your ribs have lifted up. And then what I want you to do is make sure that your shoulders have not lifted up. So you want to breathe into those shoulder muscles and then go and drop them down while you still have your hands up above your head. So what you want to do is just make sure that your arms are above your head, but your shoulders are dropped. And then what you're going to do is just drop your tailbone to make sure your bum isn't sticking out. And again, once again, notice that your ribs are naturally a little higher. So as you start to bring your arms down very slowly, keep your ribs lifted where they are, and you're naturally going to have a nice open posture and a much more inviting posture. It will release some stress for you, but it will also not only read well when you walk into a room, but when you do this before you get on the phone, it frees up your voice to sound naturally loud without you pushing the voice. So it's a really simple 30-second exercise, but very, very powerful. So stand shoulder width apart, arms up, ribs rise, make sure the shoulders are dropped, bring your arms back down, keep the ribs nice and open. So it's better than trying to force the the chest out, to be in good posture. It just helps you to naturally be there so you look naturally relaxed and naturally persuasive.
Well, that's an amazing tip, and I'm going to give that a try. I do know that posture is so important in terms of speaking, and I even notice myself how my voice as a radio host can change depending upon how I'm sitting and even sometimes my stress levels. But it's Michael Manahan, Biz Rap Radio. We got to go to commercials. We'll be right back with Cindy Ashton. And it's your host, Michael Manahan, back with Biz Rap Radio. We're the show all about entrepreneurs and small business. We're here to help you run your small business better. And we continue to have great guests, and we've got a great guest on the line with us today. We've got Cindy Ashton. Cindy's website is yourpersuasivevoice.com. Cindy is a speaking expert, a skills trainer, a singer, an entertainer. And Cindy, you have an event coming up. Tell us about that event.
Yes, I do. It is called SpeakImpactMonetize.com. SpeakImpactMonetize.com. It is for both speakers, but mostly entrepreneurs and business professionals who need to be able to walk into any room and be persuasive. And I don't mean by being manipulative, but persuasive by just showing up with the right messaging, the right storytelling, the right voice, the right body language, the right presence so they can really increase their profits. So it's a 2.5-day revolutionary conference. It is going to be unconventional. It is going to be highly experiential. You cannot learn presentation skills by sitting in a desk. So we have really created something that's magnificent. It's going to be in Toronto in 2 days on November 14th, and then again in Los Angeles, close to you, on January 30th, and for 2.5 days. And what's amazing is you're going to walk away with really hands-on experiential tools that you can implement in your business right away. But I'm also, because I'm an entertainer, I am bringing in world-class entertainment. And the Toronto one in a couple of days, you've got a Vegas performer coming in, and the LA one, my friend who's an Emmy winner, is coming in. Plus, we have on every break really meaningful networking exercises so everybody can walk away with valuable partnerships. I mean, we have really created quite the event. It's going to be red carpet, high style, speakimpactmonetize.com. And yeah, we're just really jazzed about it on this side.
That sounds like so much fun. I'm almost thinking I should take this training because I'm a professor, so I'm in front of students all the time. I'm a consultant, so I'm constantly talking to people, trying to advise them about their businesses, and of course I'm a radio host, so I'm constantly on the radio talking. But and maybe because I use my voice a lot, I realize not only how important it is, but how many times I don't use it as well as I could. And yet I meet people all the time who really have such a difficult time articulating their thoughts, communicating the essence of what their business is all about, and they have not a clue that they're not being an effective communicator. And if you talk to them about it and suggested that was the case, they'll look at you as if you were an alien from Mars. They just simply do not believe that they're not the most effective communicator on the planet. And so I'd love to come up and take your seminar.
Oh, well, Mike, we're going to have a blast. We would love to have you. But, I think that you really hit on something really important there about it's very hard to tell somebody that they're not an effective communicator, because that's kind of like telling someone they're not a good singer, or, it's a very personal thing how you come across. And here's something that I do that I would love to suggest to other business owners to do. When you have a product or a service that might be hard for people to kind of take in and realize that they really need it, it's about developing awareness. If you help people, instead of pounding somebody over the head to buy from you, put out resources out there that really get them to think and be questioned and really develop the awareness of what the problem is so that they can identify the problem and then realize that you have the solution. So, Mike, since you may be coming to my event in Los Angeles, if you're there, you're going to see when it comes to the body language and the speaking voice, I actually let people do a bunch of self-assessments and then explain what the assessments mean and how it shows up in the world. And I never ever make anybody wrong because nobody is wrong. We're all doing the best we can. We're all here to learn and grow. And so I never make anybody wrong. I never shame anybody, but I do assessments and people get amazing awareness and giant ahas, as to why they're not presenting well. And that's when they realize, holy crap, I need to hire Cindy. And I haven't even had to do a sales pitch to them. So the lesson for everybody listening is think about it in your business. What are ways that you could do quizzes or do information pieces or do assessments or something to help people to realize what the problem is so they have the aha and they come to you to buy instead of you having to push them to buy.
Oh, that is such great stuff. I love it. It's for small business people. It is really important that you get the customers buying from you. It's tough as a small business person. You've got all of the rules and regulations you have to abide by. You've got a government that doesn't think small businesses are worth very much. They give all the, when there's a stimulus going on, all the money goes to the fat cats on Wall Street and all the too bigs to fail. But meanwhile, the people that take all the brunt and the pressure is the local small businesses. So every little tool that you can use to increase and improve the effectiveness of your ability to get customers and to provide customers with information and to get those customers buying from you is extremely valuable. And I know what happens with small business people. Big corporations, they have entire divisions who do nothing but figure out how to train people in their organizations to do whatever they do better, whether it's speaking, whether it's putting on presentations, whether it's time management. Big corporations, there's an entire division that's responsible for training the people, and probably many of those divisions in those big corporations, Cindy, hire you. But in small companies, what happens is there's not a specific person in charge of training. So the small business person very often overlooks the fact that not only does his staff need training, his or her staff, but the small business person himself needs training. He's so focused on taking care of the customers, probably working 10, 12 hours a day. But it doesn't matter how much you're working. You've got to sit back and work at improving you. If you don't improve yourself, you're not going to improve your business.
Right. And how do you expect somebody to invest in your business if you're not willing to invest in you?
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, and it's hard to get that message across, but I'm glad that you're supporting me on that. So, Cindy, once again, we got just a few minutes left here. Your website is yourpersuasivevoice.com. What have you got on your website that somebody could say get for free if they were interested?
So there is the I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's 5 steps to speak confidently so you can increase your sales, something like that. So yes, and it comes with so it's a free report, plus there's some videos in there.
Okay, and if somebody actually wants to perhaps have a conversation with you about either your upcoming event or how you might help them personally on a one-on-one, I'm presuming you do one-on-one type counseling as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I work with people in person on the actual presentation stuff, and then I work with people virtually, like over Skype, for example, on the messaging and how to story tell. And so, yeah, absolutely. On my website, they can go to the training page and click the needs analysis form and fill that out, and we can have a conversation and see if we're a fit.
Okay, that's great. So you go to the website. It's yourpersuasivevoice.com. There's a needs analysis form. You complete that form. It goes off to Cindy. She'll be in touch with you, have a conversation with you, and perhaps she can help you if you want to improve your ability to communicate and tell your company's story. Now, we've got literally just a couple of minutes left here, but Cindy, you mentioned something about maybe more effective speaking and more effective communicating can get you more sex, and I'm very interested in that particular topic.
Yes, let's end with the fun stuff. So because my method is about really breathing deep into your belly and doing relaxation and all that stuff, so we've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to try to explain this really quickly. So scientifically, because we're going to go back to my science background, we've got a second brain, and our second brain is our solar plexus. And so when we breathe into our belly and when we breathe into our pelvic floor, it's really stimulating, actually, it's really stimulating all those nerves, which is where all your emotional centers are. So when you really drop into your body and you really breathe and speak from your pelvic floor and from your belly, what it actually does is it opens up your sexual magnetism. And so I've had clients who say, it's really interesting with this breathing stuff. My husband's on me more, or I'm more attracted to my husband. It actually stimulates your sexual self. It's really quite fascinating. It's great. So people tend to have better sex, tend to get more dates because they're carrying that magnetism with them. If you look at a lot of artists, I want you to go and watch concerts. When you watch those concerts, artists who are really connected with themselves tend to have their pelvises slightly forward because they're completely, tapping into their sexual magnetism, which is what makes them so compelling. So it's really quite a fun little benefit.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I'm in for the training. Sign me up. Okay, this is Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. We are speaking with Cindy Ashton. Cindy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. And if you missed the first part of this show, we had Cindy Ashton on. And Cindy is a very dynamic speaker, trainer, just a personality personified. But she is was talking to us about how we can all become just better communicators and more effective people. Speaking of small businesses and entrepreneurs, I got an email from a listener, and the listener says, hey, Mike, I understand that you're a consultant, a business consultant, but I never hear you talking about your own business and your own business of consulting. What's that all about? Well, here's the thing, and that was from Edgar, by the way. Edgar is out there in Riverside. Here's the thing, Edgar. Frankly, this show is not a big commercial for Michael Manahan and my consulting company, which is Match Vest Consulting. You'll hear our commercials during the breaks, but what the show is all about is it's really about trying to have various guests on the show who can help you as an entrepreneur or as a small business person do a better job of running your business. So I'm not sitting here talking all about MatchVest Capital Consulting and why you should hire Mike Manahan and my consulting services for your business. That's not the purpose of the show. That's not the concept of the show. I do play my commercials during the breaks, and if you're not aware of it, yes, that's my company, Matchvest Capital Consulting. I am the author of the book Secrets to Raising Capital, which you can buy on Amazon.com if you're trying to raise money for your business. But seeing as Edgar brought it up, I would like to spend a few minutes talking about my own experience as a consultant, and I'm not going to try and sell you on my consulting services. This isn't the venue for that, although if you are interested in perhaps talking about engaging me as a potential consultant to assist you in your business, I'd be more than happy to. But I want to tell you a little bit about my experience as being a consultant, because I think my experience as a consultant can be of benefit to many of you small business people and entrepreneurs who may be struggling in your own business. And, I've worked with over 100 management teams in my career, mostly companies, what we call micro-cap companies, which would be companies with probably net worths of less than $300 million, although I have done some work with some larger enterprises. Most of them have been smaller companies. Some had revenue, some didn't. Some were fairly good-sized organizations, 300, 400, 500 employees. Some just a handful of employees. But I always worked at the executive level. I've worked with the CEO, the CFO, the senior people in the company, the boards of directors. And in looking at the consulting assignments that I have done and where I've been able to add value to companies, I have to say one of the biggest obstacles that I see in terms of both small business people and entrepreneurs is you. Yes, that's right. I've heard every reason under the sun why a company is not managing to execute on its plan or its strategy. Don't have the capital, competitors, don't have the right employees in the organization. Competition is too difficult. And all of those may certainly be true, but what I see typically as the greatest obstacle in businesses is the guy at the top, the CEO, the guy who's running it. Yes, I know you need to be strong-willed. You need to have a strong opinion to be a businessman. You've got to be a leader. And weak people typically are just not very good at running businesses. So you need somebody with strength of character and strength of conviction. But very often that strength of character and strength of conviction can turn into the negative side of that, which is pig-headedness. It's obstinance. It's obstructionism. It's not listening to new ideas, not taking counsel. And that is where I see one of the biggest challenges for small business people and entrepreneurs. It's learning that, hey, you can't do it all by yourself. As the business grows, you've got to bring in other people that can help you, whether that be advisors, whether it be a board of directors, whether it be consultants, or whether it be senior employees. But you can't do it all yourself. You can't run the entire show. You've got to share responsibilities, and that means two things. It means, first of all, you've got to learn to delegate. You've got to trust other people to help you get the job done. And secondly, it means you sometimes need to take other people's advice. You've got to put down or lay aside, if you will, the pig-headedness, and you've got to be receptive to new ideas and new ways of thinking. If you're always going to overpower the people who think differently than you do, you're never going to get the benefit from the ideas that those other people bring to the table. And very often, they bring great ideas to the table. And I'm also a huge believer that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's very few challenges you are going to go through as a small business person or as an entrepreneur that somebody else hasn't already gone through. Other people have had to deal with competitors. Other people have had to deal with uncooperative banks. Other people have had to raise capital. Other people have had to deal with difficult employees. Other people have had to deal with government regulation. Don't dismiss their experience and their stories as irrelevant. It is not irrelevant. You need to learn from those other people. Now, it may be that that you listen to some other people and you don't necessarily just blindly follow what other people have to say, but do at least give it consideration. Take into account the fact that you don't know everything, and educating yourself is an important part of being a successful and a growing business person. You have to understand you don't know everything, and other people's experiences are extremely valid in how you shape your own personal activities. I call it the blockhead model. It's almost we put up this inner roadblock that it's a world view, if you will. It's a gestalt. It's a mind map. But what it does, it just automatically rejects other people's experiences, and it rejects them erroneously. It doesn't even give them the chance to be reviewed, understood, examined, and perhaps even utilized. So, if you are struggling with your business, if you are having some challenges trying to raise money for your business, trying to get your business off the ground, trying to grow your business, having challenges dealing with difficult employees, difficult customers, one of the things you've got to start off by doing is asking if you are part of the problem. Now, you may not be, and that's great. But don't ignore that question. As the leader in your company, you've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I part of the problem? Am I creating any of the challenges or difficulties that we are going through right now through my own pig-headedness and my inability to take counsel and learn from other people's experiences. So check that out. And by the way, if you are interested in my services, it's Mike Manahan, my company MatchVest Capital. By all means, give me a call. I'd love to work with you. Or you can contact me through BizRap Radio. Always happy to spend time on the phone or even in person for a coffee or something with entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurs. And if I can help you in what you're doing, that would make me so very, very happy. Here at BizRap Radio, we believe we can fix the United States of America through a fundamental concept that individuals pursuing their own economic interests in free markets will create more prosperity for more people than can ever be achieved through government regulations and a planned economy. It's BizRap Radio, fixing America through individual economic freedom. I'm your host, Michael Manahan. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of BizRap Radio.